isn't personal. But, Steve Bannon ran Breitbart News, which was notorious for peddling stories like this. And I'm not attacking him personally, but they peddled a lot of stories on that website that are just false. They're just not true, and that reinforce sexist, racist, anti-Semitic notions in people. Headlines that just make are shocking and insulting and shouldn't be part of our public discourse.
Which headlines, Mook? Which headlines? I notice that you don't cite any headlines at all. You just make this obnoxious claim that there's racist, xenophobic, anti-Jewish slurs all over this website. But you notice he doesn't cite a single example? Not a single example. I really wish Kellyanne would have responded here, but that was just shocking to me.
Kellyanne?
I think the biggest piece of fake news in this election was that Donald Trump couldn't win.
And then she just utterly destroys him. How dare he lecture us on what's fake news and what's real news?
So there's that, and that was peddled probably for weeks and months before the campaign, definitely in the closing days. If you look at major newspapers and major cable stations, networks, Jake, it's unmistakable.
I never said that he couldn't win. I said it was a competitive race. Well, there's a motion.
I didn't say you didn't.
Okay.
No.
Look at Kellyanne Conway just have to sit there through all of this. I love how liberals are all about defending women and respecting women until it comes to conservative women. As she said, the biggest fake news story of the election was that Donald Trump could not be elected president. On top of that were, all these dog whistles to their base about, phobes and homophobe and racist and whatever. But I really got to say, we really dodged a bullet with Donald Trump getting elected here, because we're all laughing now at the Prop or Not website, but imagine if Hillary Clinton was president. That would be the law of the land. I mean, Congress already passed a law kind of secretly on November 30th. This story is from the Free Thought Project. You can find a link in the description below. I was a big fan of the Free Thought Project until they kind of stepped onto the Black Lives Matter bandwagon for a while. Hopefully they'll come around. They did a lot of great work on police brutality. Police brutality is a real issue that we all need to talk about. Cops were getting away with ridiculous things, killing black people, white people, Asian people. It didn't matter. Shooting people in the back of the head while they're trying to drive off, just violating civil rights for all races. And that's definitely something that we need to confront. My problem with the BLM stance is that it's all based on a race issue, and it completely glosses over the fact that it's a government power issue, and government power just tends to pick on who's ever the weakest. And, in a lot of cases, that's poor people, and, that's who they're going to go out and target because they can't get lawyers. They're not going to spend time in court. They don't have any power, really. I mean, from a profit perspective, you really have to look at it that way. And we all know that there is policing for profit that happens in this country. Just look at the seizures that they're taking, just pulling people over, taking all their money. The process is so arduous you can't get your cash back. But anyway, I'm getting a little bit off topic. Let's talk about this fake news story. Supposedly, let's talk about this bill that Washington just posted called H.R. 6393, the Intelligence Authorization Act for fiscal year 2017, sponsored by California Republican Devin Nunes. Good job, Devin. Whose third largest donor in 2016 is Google. Nice. A bill which deals with a number of intelligence-related issues, including Russian propaganda, or what the government is going to deem as Russian propaganda, and hits at a potential crackdown on offenders. A quick skim of the bill reveals Title V, matters relating to foreign countries, whose Section 501 calls for the government to counter active measures by Russia to exert covert influence carried out in coordination with or at the behest of political leaders or the security services of the Russian Federation, and the role of the Russian Federation has been hidden or acknowledged publicly. This section lists the following definitions of media manipulation. Check these out. Establishment or funding of a front group. Who's to say what a front group is? Covert broadcasting, okay? Media manipulation, that could be anything. Disinformation and forgeries. Who decides what's disinformation? Funding agents of influence, incitement and offensive counterintelligence assassinations. I like how they just pad the end of the bill, and terrorist acts. Oh, I mean, if you're against this bill, then what, you're for assassinations and terrorism? As Kurt Nimmo correctly notes, it's easy to see how this law, if passed by the Senate and signed by the President, could be used to target, threaten, or eliminate so-called fake news websites, a list which has been used to arbitrarily define any website or blog that does not share the mainstream media's narrative. Currently, the bill, which was passed on November 30th, was introduced on November 22nd, 2 days before the Washington Post published its November 24th article citing experts who claim Russian propaganda helped Donald Trump get elected. So yeah, they're kind of working hand in hand here, it seems. As we reported last week in an article that has been widely blasted, the Washington Post wrote that 2 teams of independent researchers found that the Russians exploited American-made technology platforms to attack U.S. democracy at a particularly vulnerable moment of the election, as an insurgent candidate harnessed a wide range of grievances to claim the White House. The sophistication of the Russian tactics may complicate efforts by Facebook and Google to crack down on fake news, as they have vowed to do after widespread complaints about the problem. So here they are blaming Russia for the fact that Hillary Clinton was corrupt. I mean, who cares who hacked her emails? It could be Martians. I don't care. Are they real? Are they true? Was she corrupt? Was she really selling out the American people for money? I mean, is she really going to these freaking spirit dinners, these witches meetings? I don't care who the messenger is. Why are we killing the messenger here? This is just ridiculous. The newspaper cited Propernaut, an anonymous website that posted a hit list of alternative media websites, including Zero Hedge, wow, Drudge Report, wow, Activist Post. Haven't heard of these guys. Blacklisted News and the Ron Paul Report and many others. Glenn Greenwald penned an appropriate response 2 days later, and Washington Post disgracefully promotes a McCarthyite blacklist from a new, hidden, and very shady group. Propernaut has published a conspiratorial thesis without any actual proof that the listed websites have been either used directly or covertly by the Russians to spread propaganda. So this is probably a big reason why here that they're staying so anonymous, is because they could get sued and lose a lot of money for going around saying, hey, these guys are Russian spies. But think about it again. This is becoming law, right? They already passed this bill, maybe in preparation for Hillary Clinton to become the president. All these fake Republicans up in there, you know what I mean, supposedly standing up for the people. They thought Hillary Clinton was going to become the president. And if we pass this bill, as soon as she comes in, she's going to destroy all these alternative news sources. Zero Hedge, Drudge Report, I mean, the Ron Paul Report. All of this would have been the law, you know, instead of a joke. So we need to thank our lucky stars, say a Hail Mary, Our Father, thank you, God, for getting Donald Trump there as president. He might not be the most perfect man, but oh my gosh, so many people would have been going to jail. We really dodged a bullet here, and we really need to realize that. We're laughing at it now, like I said, but this could have been very, very serious business. Anyway, God bless you guys. I'll talk to you later.
Personal. But, Steve Bannon ran Breitbart News, which was notorious for peddling stories like this. And I'm not attacking him personally, but they peddled a lot of stories on that website that are just false. They're just not true, and that reinforce sexist, racist, anti-Semitic notions in people. You know, headlines that just make are shocking and insulting and shouldn't be part of our public discourse.
Kellyanne?
I think the biggest piece of fake news in this election was that Donald Trump couldn't win. So there's that, and that was peddled probably for weeks and months before the campaign, definitely in the closing days. If you look at major newspapers and major cable stations, networks, Jake, it's unmistakable.
I never said that he couldn't win. I said it was a competitive race. Well, there's a motion.
I didn't say you didn't.
Okay.
No.
You're so dumb. You are really dumb. For real.
As always, you can find the links to the stories that I talk about in the description of this video. And I just want to say, Matt Agorist, if you're listening from the Free Thought Project, come back to the fold, guys. Black Lives Matter. We're all the same race, okay? It's not a racial thing. We don't hate you guys. We love you guys. Let's fight the power together. We need to join hands. That's what they're trying to stop the people from doing by spreading all these fake stories and misinformation about all these racists that don't exist. Let's all love each other. Merry Christmas, everybody. Merry Christmas.